Others are fast-moving.
Unlike other big rallies,
Bit earlier at about 7 a.m., a group from the Coast Guard.
Welcome to #PHVote 2013.
Today on Rappler, Rehabilitation Chief Lacson accuses the Romualdezes of mounting an anti-government campaign. The Health Department announces the first case of the MERS virus infection in the Philippines.
Because this law is not a population control measure.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a health measure.
Yes.
To protect the health of women, mothers, children, adolescents, and infants. It is a human rights law or measure because it would guarantee the right of parents, women, and couples to fully, freely, and responsibly decide the number and spacing of their children.
Advocates Edsa Lagman and Sylvia Claudio say the reproductive health law, properly implemented, will make lives better for Filipinos.
Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. Rehabilitation Secretary Panfilo Lacson accuses the Romualdezes of Leyte of helping mount an anti-government rally protesting the slow recovery of areas devastated by Typhoon Yolanda or Haiyan last year. Lacson says he received a verified intelligence report linking Leyte Representative Martin Romualdez and Tacloban Mayor Alfred Romualdez to a February rally shortly before the president visited Tacloban City. Lacson says a truck bus traced to the Romualdezes unloaded at least 25 protesters in the rally. He says the report was, quote, frustrating, adding, "I'm so disappointed to find out that they're assisting rallyists who lambast us, including myself. They are part of the government." Tacloban Mayor Romualdez, who earlier criticized the government for its slow response, says it's, quote, not his style to mount anti-government rallies. The Romualdezes are part of the family of Imelda Romualdez Marcos, the widow of the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos, who put President Aquino's father in jail. The Health Department confirms the first case of the MERS coronavirus infection in the Philippines. Health Secretary Enrique Ona says a male overseas Filipino worker, or OFW, tested positive for the virus after having contact with a fellow Filipino who died in the United Arab Emirates last April 10. Assistant Secretary Eric Tayag says the Philippines and Malaysia are the first two countries in Asia outside the Middle East to have a laboratory-confirmed case of the virus. Ona says the man has not yet shown symptoms of the infection, but is now under quarantine, along with anyone who had contact with him in the past 24 hours. The MERS, or Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus, is a highly fatal influenza-like illness. As of Sunday, the World Health Organization reported 228 laboratory-confirmed cases with 92 deaths from 10 countries. A U.S.-based consulting firm says Jakarta and Manila are poised to become global leaders in the next 2 decades. A report by A.T. Kearney puts Indonesia's capital at the top of a list of 34 cities in low and middle income countries likely to be leaders in business. Manila ranks second, followed by Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa. The report cites Jakarta's improving political system and efforts to address income inequality as reasons for its top ranking. Analysts also say Manila holds a lot of promise because of its better-than-expected economic growth. The Philippines grew 7.2% in 2013, just behind China's 7.7%. After more than 15 years, the Philippine Supreme Court rules the reproductive health law is constitutional. Advocates praise the ruling, but many now ask, what's next? RH law proponents Edsa Lagman and Sylvia Claudio recall the challenges they faced while the bill languished in Congress for 13 years.
Surprises, both positive and negative, actually, and it's hard to just think about all the difficulties we passed through. If only people could decide this in a plebiscite, we probably would have won it then.
Lagman says this is a clear victory for the advocates.
I'm extremely happy. And people say, some say that this is a win-win situation. Definitely it is not a win-win situation. When you have a unanimous decision upholding the constitutionality of the arrest law on the whole, then that's not a win-win situation. That's a definite and categorical victory.
While Guzman is happy with the ruling, Claudio says she's wary, citing the provisions the court struck down in the measure.
The provisions that were struck down worry me for other reasons, because I'm also a physician. Because the ethical considerations of doctors is that we should refer patients. That's across the board.
Yes.
And that's part of your oath as a medical professional. We are not like ordinary citizens that can allow our personal, political, and religious beliefs to get in the way of our patients' well-being. And that is a core principle of the ethics of our profession. And I think this is dangerous, the way the court has struck down these particular provisions.
Guzman also acknowledges the challenges ahead. Both say the law, properly implemented, will change the lives of Filipinos.
In the implementation, I think the Supreme Court decision declaring the law constitutional is a challenge, both to the executive and to Congress. To the executive, for the executive to fully and faithfully implement the law, and for Congress to give appropriate funding in order that reproductive health programs and activities will be able to be implemented fully, and then also for Congress to resist all attempts to repeal the law or weaken the law. This law is not a population control measure.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a health measure
Yes.
to protect the health of women, mothers, children, adolescents, and infants. It is a human rights law or measure because it would guarantee the right of parents, women, and couples to fully, freely, and responsibly decide the number and the spacing of their children. It is also an anti-poverty program, as well as a veritable agenda for sustainable human development. So eventually, the full implementation of the law would help our economy perk up, and we would be able to achieve sustainable development.
The Philippine government says it's confident the peace deal with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, or MILF, will hold despite fresh clashes that left 4 MILF members dead. The clashes came just 2 weeks after the government and the MILF signed a peace deal to end decades of conflict. The military says 18 were killed, including 4 members of the MILF, when the military launched operations on Friday to capture 2 top leaders of the Abu Sayyaf. Government peace negotiator Teresita Dela says the MILF members acted on their own when they helped the Abu Sayyaf. She adds, "We're still confident that the MILF leadership can bring a huge bulk of their fighters into the fold of the law." The peace deal aims to set up an autonomous Muslim area in the southern Philippines by early next year. The Justice Department summons controversial businessman Cedric Lee, this time for tax evasion. The Bureau of Internal Revenue, or BIR, filed criminal complaints against Izumo Contractors Incorporated and its 3 officers. Lee is the president and chief executive officer of Izumo. The BIR says Izumo owes the government 194.47 million pesos, or around $4.37 million in taxes. Lee has standing arrest warrant for allegedly beating comedian host Vong Navarro in January. For our social media post of the day, tax filing season has just ended and the Bureau of Internal Revenue is running after delinquents. That includes boxing champion Manny Pacquiao, who's been chased down by BIR Chief Kim Henares for a while now. Henares' single-minded pursuit of tax avoiders continue to trigger reactions. Comments range from irate to sobering to funny memes. Police detonate 2 backpacks near the finish line of the Boston Marathon in the United States and arrest a suspect on the anniversary of last year's deadly bombings. Hundreds of people were evacuated after the backpacks were found at the scene of the twin bombings that killed 3 people a year ago. Boston police arrest a male suspect dressed in black. The man carried a knapsack and was reportedly acting strangely. This comes on the day the city paid a solemn tribute to the victims and survivors of the marathon bombings last year. 3 people died and more than 260 others injured when 2 bombs detonated near the finish line of the city's famous marathon, the oldest in the world, on April 15, 2013. U.S. leaders will conduct memorial services across the country. President Barack Obama will observe a moment of silence in the Oval Office. South Korea says at least 4 people died and nearly 300 people are missing after a ferry carrying 459 people capsized off the south coast Wednesday. The South Korean Coast Guard says 164 people were rescued. Television aerial footage shows terrified passengers wearing life jackets climbing into inflatable boats as the ship sank. The ferry, which sailed out of the western port of Incheon Tuesday evening, ran into trouble some 20 kilometers off the southern island of Byungpong. The cause of the accident is not immediately clear, although rescued passengers say the ferry came to a sudden stop after a loud noise. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 4, officials say armed and masked men kidnapped Jordan's ambassador to Libya as he rode to work in the capital, Tripoli. The gunman shot at the ambassador's car and injured his driver. Tuesday's incident was the latest targeting of Libyan leaders and foreign diplomats in the country 3 years after NATO-backed rebels ended the 4-decade reign of autocratic leader Muammar Gaddafi. Jordanian Prime Minister Abdullah Nasser urges Libyan authorities to work to secure the safe release of the kingdom's ambassador, Fawaz Aitan. At number 5, the unmanned submarine searching for the missing Malaysia flight MH370s deployed again in the Indian Ocean Wednesday. After more than 3 weeks of hunting for black box signals, the submarine was deployed for the first time Monday night from the Australian ship Ocean Shield. That first mission was aborted when the sub reached its maximum operating depth without finding any traces of the plane. And at number 7, the United Nations Weather Agency Tuesday warns there's a good chance of an El Niño climate phenomenon in the Pacific Ocean this year. The weather pattern could bring droughts and heavy rainfall to the rest of the world. The El Niño phenomenon occurs every 2 to 7 years. The last El Niño occurred between June 2009 and May 2010. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. That crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers and viewers the most emotionally. These 10 stories have gotten the most number of votes on their mood meter. Let's take a look today. We're in Holy Week, so let's take a look at one of the stories in the top 10, 8 beautiful Metro Manila churches for Bisita Iglesia. You have 33% happy, 38% happy, 43% inspired. Interestingly, look at this blue, 2% amused. One of our top stories today, Lacson links Romualdez's to anti-government rally, whopping 79% angry. And again, this blue, 6% amused. That blue brought out by the story that's gotten the most number of votes, which was in our wrap. PGAD, and strangely enough, PGAD is the persistent genital arousal disorder. That story has gotten the most number of votes. It is a health issue, not 100 orgasms a day, but a medical condition. Take a look at the votes. 14% say they don't care, 49% amused. That blue bringing out the mood of the day. Today, most people are amused. Well, that is Rappler's Newscast for today, Wednesday, April 16, 2014. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.